That would be really good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May Council meeting. Pretty heavy session this morning on budget, but welcome to this part of the meeting and call for apologies.
Councillor David Colton, this is an apology.
Somebody moved that apology be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Galvin. Seconded Councillor Egan. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. I need a move of the recommendation to confirm the minutes of the last meeting, if I could, on Thursday, 28th of April.
Councillor Smith
Who'd you get?
and Councillor Galvin.
Councillor Smith, Councillor Galvin. Right. Put that motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. We do have a presentation from Arts Northwest. How far away is that? Do you know, Ben? Or I'll keep going, will I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll now then call for declarations of interests, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Nothing recorded. And additional late items, that the following items be added to the meeting agenda: the March quarterly review, the March investment report, April investment report, and the county boundary tender report.
In the
confidential session, that is.
And there's also the quarterly review report.
That's it, that's...
I mentioned yours,
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah. Could I have somebody move that they be accepted on the agenda, please? Councillor Egan, seconded. Councillor Matthews. Put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Officers' reports, and the first report is item 8.1, wider cemeteries policy. I don't think there's any changes, is there, from the previous policy?
No, it's pretty much the same.
Broader cemetery policy change.
Well, I suppose that we adopt the policy, is it?
Yeah, that's what the
We're
recommendation.
looking for? So you're moving that way, Councillor Egan, thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Moore. Put that motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Next item 8.2, Organisation Community Development Report. Thank you, Leah.
I'm just happy to answer any questions you might have about this report. It's quite comprehensive, so
Leah, I'm told that almost went viral, the placards that the residents held up about.
Yes.
Yeah, the advice. Yeah.
a lot of feedback, and we're on the other scale of things. The Tarawonga preschool were doing it as well.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly generated some interest on social media.
That was a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they had fun doing it as well, the residents.
Yeah. Is there any questions on any of this?
It's a really good report to it. I like the
Easy one.
information in it.
Yes, yeah. Youth Council, I was wondering. You got any information on the Youth Council, Leah, where we're up to with that?
No, I don't have any current information. Sorry.
I think that we re-advertised for members.
Yes,
That's all I know.
that's all I know as well.
Yeah,
I haven't followed
yeah.
up.
Right.
I can get back to you.
Oh, it's okay. It'll happen. A lot of this we've talked about in our budget session, haven't we? Is there any questions? I don't have any.
The mover and
I'll
second.
move that the report's received.
Thank you.
And it's very comprehensive.
It is comprehensive. We're not rushing over it, but we've read it.
It's
There's not a lot of business to be discussed
It's
about.
all there for us to read.
Yeah.
It's always very informative and, yeah.
I take that as a seconder, Councillor Galvin.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
None me against, no. Carried. Executive services, which one?
I was just going to say that I know that the councillors want an update about the living classroom, and I'd suggest we do it in the confidential session.
Okay, yeah. Executive services, 8.3.
It includes also the councillors.
And council reports, of course, it does. Yes. Any business?
Now, it's sad to say that the showground grandstand and the facilities that have been updated, they're fantastic.
Well, it looks good in the
It
photo.
looks great. Just having a little problem with the birds. I don't know how we overcome it, but we're working on something.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting on Tuesday this afternoon, everything appears to be going.
It's disappointing to see the
The show was.
well, yeah, that too, but the damage on the trees there.
I was going to ask, what happened to the trees? Someone tried to run over them?
Yeah, it's and purposely, yeah. done.
I understand there's a fair bit of trouble down on the commons with people going mad and ripping up the commons too.
Is that- Should be referred to the police, I would say.
Tiff, where are you talking about?
Down near the river. Down here and out of town a bit.
Oh,
They really become police matters, don't they?
They do, and they do a lot.
It's only the
of
same
work,
group of people
and
too.
they're just basically stupid people.
The pound, the small animal pound, how do we access that, Max? I'd like to go and look at it.
Well, if you go off the Yetman Road to where that old quarry is,
Yes.
and you veer to the right and
Oh, yeah.
follow that around,
Yeah.
it'll take you to
Oh,
it.
okay.
There will be a better access
Yeah.
when it's finished.
It's looking good.
What's that for? Sorry, John.
The common, the pound, small dog, or dog pound at Warrior.
Oh, radio.
Yeah.
Back to the thing in the grandstand. They used to say there was things you could hang to deter the birds. Can you, like, some people used to hang blank CDs and things like that.
we've agreed to try those sonic things. Mick's going to buy them.
Yeah.
Some sonic sound thing that puts out a pulse or something. And see
My,
how they work.
my experience is very difficult to deter.
Yeah.
The,
It's just deep all the time.
Yeah.
and the other thing, are the trees that have been damaged in Riddell Street, are they able to be saved, or are they?
No, there's a fair angle on that Callisto.
Yeah.
They have staked them up and everything.
Have they? Let's go back. Alex, those two prime movers cameras to border, were they second hand?
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yes.
They must have come from the one company, did they?
Sorry?
Did they come from the one company?
They did. There was a third prime mover that came from a local contractor in addition.
Yeah, I know about that one. Yeah.
Are we going to have an official opening of the dog pound? If so, I think Glenn Pereira should be involved. He put it in his budget for the past 15 years and it didn't get built till he yeah. Just food.
Trouble is, if he comes back, he mightn't leave.
He may not.
Is that actually going to be the dog pound, not the dog pound, but the pound as well?
Yes.
The animal pound? Yeah, right.
So it'd be a set of stockyards there, that's what the question is.
Yes, it would be
The
good.
stockyards there for the, like cattle and, like a million pound cattle and that.
We don't normally impound, if we can get away with it, large animals, because we try to encourage, and under the Act, we've got to try to notify the owners and do all that sort of stuff, but there will be the ability to impound stock there if required, although I can't recall it happening since, like for years and years. So.
So you can see works commenced on the chambers in Warrialla. I'm looking forward to my toilet there. Is there any questions anywhere? See, now when you get to this page 64 and you see camping inspections, it's got a different light on it, hasn't it? And you know what it costs. So the officer recommendations report be received. Is there anybody like to move that way? Yeah. Councillor Mulligan moving. Seconder?
Who did you call?
Oh, Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Now, I can see our guests are online. I'm not sure if they can hear us. But we might switch over to that. How are we going? We've got audio there?
Yep, I believe we're ready.
Oh, there you go. We welcome you for your presentation, if you're there, from Arts Northwest. Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me from where I
Yes.
am?
We can hear you.
I can't. Oh, yeah, that's better.
Right. And can you actually see something on the screen at the moment?
Yes, we can.
So you can see the presentation, that's great.
Yeah, I think we're doing.
So yes, I'm just here really to talk about Arts Northwest. And our main purpose is to support, facilitate arts and cultural activity in the New England Northwest. I'm getting a little bit of a feedback, so I'm just not sure how the sound is your end, but I'm hearing myself in reverberation.
We're getting a little bit of that too, but I think it's okay. We can understand you.
Okay, excellent. All right. I just wanted to start with a few facts and figures for you. People often think that art and culture is something quite specialised, but in actual fact, really links into so many areas that council often deals with. So not just statistics, but social and economic health in particular. And so one of the things is that the arts and entertainment sector contributes $14.7 billion every year to GDP. And the arts and entertainment sector actually employs 196,000 Australians. And so for every $1 million in turnover, you're getting 9 jobs from the arts sector as opposed to only 1 at construction. And these figures aren't really showing that those kind of performers I mentioned, quality of life, confidence, health, tourism, education, trade and reputation. Just before the pandemic, the Australian Council put out a big national perspective survey, and they showed that 98% they have that art has placed in daily life. And I think it's really because it's Netflix, reading, it's going to get the school, in marketable, everything. It's not a big simple fabric for people. It's all part of the big stuff. 80% say on our lives. So Us West is a rich organisation. There are 14 of them. Right now in the state. It's leaked almost 50%. There's one big built on the south coast at the moment. It's funded in a partnership between state government and local government. The Create New South Wales for $50 to network, and the 23 billion for the investment in 150,000 by 27. On top of that, our RADOs also, are you still there?
Yeah, sure, okay. It's pretty difficult. Yeah, it is difficult.
$2.17 million of project funding was sourced by RADOs themselves, so that's sort of external funding that went in. And then we had 40 arts workers employed by RADOs. Arts Northwest itself services 12 LGAs. So we have a very large geographical area of 98,000 square kilometres that I travelled in my car, and a population of 181,000 plus people, and a very active arts community actually, but recognised for its commitment but also its diversity. So what happens up in Moree is very different to what happens down in the Port Plains. I'm not going to read all of this out for you because you should have a couple of handouts in front of you which details on this, but basically, yeah, this is what we do. We're creating healthy, sustainable and connected communities in the New England Northwest. And I thought I'd give a little quick idea of what we actually do in terms of governance. So we have a 2-tiered governance structure. We have a school-based board of management of 7 to 9 directors, and they really look at the legislative requirements of our organisation, Marine Corporate Association. But underneath that sits a strategic advisory council. This is made up of a delegate from each of our contributing councils, plus 4 people that are representatives from our independent cultural organisations that aren't usually associated with the council. So in Armidale, for example, Nero is not owned and operated by council. There's a few other organisations like that, so they also have a seat at the table, and they meet twice a year to give us feedback on what we're doing and to give us some input into our strategic direction. We're a fairly small organisation, so 4 FTE, 5 staff members, and most of them are part-time. I'm not, I'm full-time. And then I just thought I would give you a little bit of data again. So this is where we get our income from. You can see that 20% comes from the state government, 14% comes from the contributions of all of our 12 LGAs. We have earned income, so we do have some things that are ticketed. And we have project funding, which is really from our Indigenous Language and Arts program, which is funded federally. It's our Aboriginal Cultural Support program. We engage about 55,000 people a year, although these are actually 2021 figures. As you can see, quite a large or higher component of digital and online because of obviously COVID, but we still have been getting out of that as well. The value of those activities, 607,000, which we split into creative projects, into marketing and into that professional development, advice and advocacy. Our key markets, we have individual artists and practitioners that we service, key regional cultural organisations, museums, galleries, performing arts venues, so that would include something like the Roxy, for example. We link into tourism, education, 3 levels of government, as I mentioned, health, and particularly at the moment in looking at the whole of mental health projects, regional economic development, creative industries, and of course the wider community in New England North West, in terms of them as audiences coming to these kind of events. So specific details for Guida, there should be again another handout that you have that we put together at the end of each year, each calendar year, to show where we're doing our spend, I guess. So Guida contributes 4,585 and so receives quite a large percentage of investment. So these are the things that are happening in Guida. Some marketing, some advice, and predominantly projects in 2021. And this slide really just gives you an idea of the connections that we make as an organisation into areas that the council obviously deals with. So it's about inclusive communities, about health and community wellbeing, about economic development and tourism. And you can see that these are the kind of things that we're doing as well, and working in partnership with local government. In 2021, these are the activities that we were working on, and I'll go into a little bit more detail of that a little bit further on in this, won't take long. Again, I'm not going to read this whole slide. It's in front of you as a piece of paper, I hope. But I thought I might just pull out, in 2021 we ran the Panorama project, which was during the pandemic we sent out sketchbooks to people that were interested, and they filled them in any way they wished, and then if they wanted to they then sent them back to us and we took them on a big library tour of the New England North West, and I know that it did come to Bingara, and I think to Warialda as well actually, and it was really successful. There were about 300 books that went around, and some of those have been chosen by the State Library of New South Wales to be part of their permanent collection because they kind of document the time of COVID in our region. 22, these are the kind of things that we're still running out. We do a lot of support with artists who might ring or email or however they contact me to get some support around a whole lot of things. Often it's about where to find money to get their project up and running. So I do that, throughout the year, but we also come out at least twice a year on these kind of out and about, one-on-one, face-to-face sessions, and I do that throughout the 12 LGAs. And we also support other LGAs on policy and plan development in the arts and cultural space. So to give you an example of that, we supported Glenna's in writing their cultural plan last year. We've also been working with Narrabri and Uralla on public art policy. We've got a number of professional development workshops that we run. In 2022, we've just done a big a couple of days on creative recovery. So looking how arts feed into communities post-disaster and what that looks like. So we ran that over a couple of days. We're also looking to run out a volunteer succession planning workshop. So for many of our arts organisations, and it's not just obviously in arts, it happens in sport as well, I know, but a lot of our committees, people are getting older and are finding it harder to attract younger people onto that committee, and there's an issue around succession. So this is a workshop that we're happy to roll out to give some strategies about how to go about keeping your organisation sustainable. We have an agricultural program, as I mentioned. It is funded federally. So we have a number of things that are happening at the moment. One is we're developing a film based on the Gomeroi version of the Seven Sisters story. We have an Aboriginal curatorship program. So a number of emerging curators are getting a whole lot of professional development about how to approach curating shows within our region. And we have another exhibition, a focused project called Yinaha, which is focusing on women's practice. Arts Northwest on tour. So we source and broker at least 2 productions a year for this. And the Roxy is I've got Chapel Theatre there, but I actually meant to say the Roxy is part of this network. There are 6 productions that we're sending around in 2022, and 5 of those have been chosen by the Roxy that want to be part of those. And you can see coming up, was it yesterday? In fact, yesterday. So we do a lot of work around researching those particular productions, but then also negotiating the fee down, because if we can get more than 5 venues on board a tour, then the cost of that is reduced considerably for each venue. We also have pocket productions, which is like a smaller version of Arts Northwest on tour. So it can go, the idea really is that it goes into small community halls. And I know that we were looking at trying to get into Crop Creek this time, but it didn't quite manage to get it off, but it is going to the Moxie and the Salt Express. So it's a really important way of us connecting into our villages as well. This particular program has been very heavily affected by COVID, as you know, with lockdowns and with people not going out. So it's really starting to build up again now. Arts Northwest Connect is our link into tourism. It's really an online creative directory, so people can see who's out there, what's happening, and you can also build art trails. So as a tourist, you can come into the region and say you're moving from like Moree to Glen Innes, and what can you see? And they'll pull up a little itinerary for you, which will include things like the Ceramic Break Sculpture Park. We run an arts and disability program, so A-Level Arts is a network of individuals and organisations, really sort of to support arts and disability. And finally, we do a lot of promotion and marketing. So we have an arts calendar that covers the region. We have a couple of websites. One is our main website, which holds a huge amount of information for artists, lots of e-resources, lots of information there. We have social media, obviously. We send out fortnightly e-news, but we also do a council quarterly. So if you're not getting that, please let me know, because you should be on the list for that as well. And we run a number of these kind of networking groups, visual arts, writers, network arts, Aboriginal arts museums. And that's really me. So that's a very quick sort of summary of what we do and what's happening in wider. And that's my details there. And I'll stop sharing because that should hopefully, yeah. I'm not sure whether there's possibilities to do some questions. I'm happy to talk on the chat if that's better.
We can take, pardon me, thanks Caroline for your presentation. We can take questions. Anybody have any questions of Caroline? I think that the one thing I would like to emphasise is that that I'd like to see you get out to our villages more than you do. Seems to be concentrated on the Roxy to a fair degree. Whereas the outlying centres are probably less likely to encounter Arts Northwest.
We did have beef at the Warrior Hall yesterday, Caroline, and it was an amazing
Yeah.
success. It was a really, really well received initiative and a great success. But that's the
Yeah,
first
thank you.
time we've delivered anything like that outside of the Roxy, possibly for years.
Yeah, that's right, I remember now, Warrior Hall, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Anyone any questions?
No, not for me.
All right, well, I think that's it. Carolyn, thanks for your time.
No worries at all. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but,
Maybe next year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Right,
Thanks,
All right.
Caroline.
okay. She didn't respond, didn't he? I said. Well, I don't know. It seemed like it was. Righto.
Workshop and circulated the workshop recommendations.
All right, anyway, we're up to adopting the recommendations from this morning's workshop. Would somebody like to move that way?
Councillor Galvin.
We've adopted them to come to this meeting and now we're adopting them
Councillor Galvin moved it.
to go on display. Councillor Galvin and Councillor Mulligan, any questions?
Be adopting all four?
Yes.
Yeah, the recommendation we made this morning to this meeting for adoption. Okay, bit complicated. I'll put the motion in, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. There must be late items, eh?
Yes.
March quarterly review.
Yes.
The quarterly reviews first, is it? I can take any questions that anyone has based on the attachments to the report. There weren't a huge amount of changes required. The changes did result in a better result for council. Probably the biggest ones is the county boundary road adjustments that Alex might be able to make comment on.
I'm trying to find the...
It's only electronic, I think.
But that's already been discussed.
It has been, and following the outcome of the confidential item, the figures that are in there are subject to change regardless.
Yeah, which is coming up, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other changes that have been made by managers is just based on what they believe will be the end of year income and expenditure to match up, so it accurately reflects what we think our end of year budget will be and actuals are.
Okay, any questions? Helen? Somebody move that we adopt that report? Councillor Dixon, seconded Councillor Galvin, I think. Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
March investment report.
We'll just try and find it.
And the recommendation mentions April, so it's not
Well, there's the
correct.
March and the April. The April.
There are two different reports.
Yeah, there's two. There's a March investment which didn't go last month. So you've got the March and the April. So
Do both of them together because they're
We'll do them as one, yes.
yeah.
16, I think.
So once again, I can take questions on.
It doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference.
No, so at the end of March, we were in a pretty sticky situation where we'd had a lot of expenditure and there wasn't a lot of spare cash. So you can see on the graph in the April report that in March we had a pretty big dip. And that's just because we haven't had the income come in. The flood money that we're owed, do you know what the total is at the moment, what we're owed?
Somewhere in the 600, 800,000 mark, I don't know exactly.
So the staff member that was looking after council's claims was on leave, so none of those got processed. So that should be getting rectified.
No, that's not correct. The staff member at Resilience New South Wales who was supposed to be processing was on leave.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Not our staff, the government body that was supposed to be doing the
Glad you
claims.
clarified that, didn't
Yeah.
get that right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't us. It was the department that I think.
Seems a bit archaic that someone goes on leave and holds everything up.
But did you say there's 16 councils that person?
16 councils and the one representative from Resilience New South Wales for all of them.
Yeah.
And there's 2 now,
Is there?
but there was 1.
No.
And you can see in April we had a pretty significant cash increase, which was when we received our forward payment for financial assistance grant money. Rates collection is on track. I can take any other questions.
Is there any questions of Helen? Seems pretty straightforward to me. If not, I'd ask a mover of the recommendation. Councillor Smith. Seconder? Councillor Moore?
That was both those
For both reports, yes. Yeah. So I'll put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Vote carried.
We'll do council reports.
Yeah, we can do that. We've got, before we go into confidential session, we can go around the room for reports. I'm going to go the opposite way today. And Councillor Mulligan, do you have anything?
No, I believe something's been done at Crocker Creek Tip, which somebody said was pretty good, so
Oh, that's good.
thanks to the efforts there, and yeah, keep the jet patcher going. It's sort of the wet weather doesn't really help us, but yeah, it's still taking a toll on the roads, obviously the land rail, so yeah, but keep up the good work.
Okay. Councillor Matthews?
I did a partial survey of the external defibrillators,
Oh, yeah.
one of which I can't find, all of which are kind of locked away for most of the time.
Right. Well,
We are undergoing that survey that you requested and also a maintenance regime for them to make sure, because I think the work we've done to date just emphasised how important it was that you raised this issue.
Yes.
yeah, I believe it was well raised too.
We've actually located a company that can service the identified defibrillators like we would our fire extinguishers, so we're working with that. But it was quite an interesting process to go through, and thank you for bringing it up.
So is there a consideration being made to a publicly available defibrillator, publicly available at all times in the 2 towns?
Yes, there will be, and there will be a report come back to council, or even maybe just you talking about where they are and which ones we're going to move externally and where the best location is.
Pardon my ignorance, what's required of the service? Is there a battery involved or?
Oh, there's more than that. There's pads.
Yeah. Things that deteriorate.
Yes, and date, like a...
I've sort of got a 3 to 5 year lifespan.
Okay, yeah. All right, is that all you have? No, is that all? Is that, yeah, thank you. Councillor Moore?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Lorraine Redden questioned me a little bit on, she hadn't received anybody to ring her about the access road into her property.
Untitled?
Yeah.
I'll chase that up.
And that, I handed a letter in to you, Alex, on the 11th.
Yeah, that was passed on.
Yeah, righto. That's all right. The other one, Warriolda Streets, Baker Shop and IGA. I've had a complaint from them regarding the streets.
In what regard?
Oh, just how dirty they're becoming, that.
Is the actual street, not the footpath?
Yeah.
Right.
And the garbage bins aren't being emptied up, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So they're overflowing quite a bit. Are we going to put up more speed signs or letting people know the heavy vehicle bypass is open? Like,
Yes.
Does there need to be one out in the highway and on both sides?
There will be. There was some conjecture about what signs were the correct sign to be erected. We have ordered those signs. Coming from the northern end, we've got VMS boards, the flashing light at North Star Road, turn off, another one on Warriolda Road. 2 was all we could get at the moment, and capturing from the north was the key thing at that stage. Once we've got people coming from the north know that it's there, we'll move those boards out onto the highway as temporary measures as well.
It must be working. You're getting a lot of traffic.
A lot of traffic through there, yeah. The other one was the load limit in town signs. Was that an issue? 6 point, what did you have, 6.5?
So it will be a 6-tonne load limit, and that was part of the wording for the signage that was in question. 6-tonne load limit, local deliveries accepted. It will be the signage that's erected, and I hope that that's clear enough to everybody.
Well, I followed a truck yesterday, like a bogey drive truck, just a tray truck. That was obviously going to McGregor's for fertiliser.
Yes.
So he turned into Stephen Street off the highway. That's going to be quite legal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we'd obviously prefer they went the long way.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Oh, sorry, to McGregor's opposite the hall.
No, he would have been going up the top of the hill, I'd say.
Yeah.
So we intend to erect those signs on Stephen Street from the weighbridge, so obviously it doesn't cause issues with the usage of that facility. But there was a lot of confusion when we originally erected the signs, and that was the reasoning behind turning them and that signage not being in place at the moment. But the renewed signage with the local deliveries accepted, I'm hoping is clear enough to everybody that if you need to go into town, you can go into town. If you're going round, use the bypass.
Look, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I'd love to see articulated vehicles prevented from turning into Stephen Street off the highway. Because if you had to access McGregor's up the top, you can still do that through the bypass.
Yeah, so with the articulated
But I thought
vehicles,
just an ordinary old farmer's truck would be right to go around there.
Yep, they're a restricted access vehicle, so we can formally revoke that access. So they'd be off route if they're doing that anyway. Once we've got the RMS ROV mapping showing the bypass as an approved route, the next step is to remove Stephen Street from it. So
right.
that will address that.
Very good.
Alex, thanks for looking into the Grayton Tip and also the Fairford Road. There's a bit of a concern up on the Fairford Road there about the condition of the road. That's been looked into, so that's okay. Truck wash ponds, they get, when they're full, what happens to those? They get pumped back into our
So there are
system?
decanting structures in the top pond that are intended to skim water that has settled and has less suspended solids in it. We then have two options with what we do to that. One is through a trade waste licence, put it to the sewer treatment plant. You'll recall the original issue with doing that was the suspended solids and the pH. We're currently, as in the last week, testing that liquid in the top pond to confirm that it's suitable to go into the sewer treatment plant. The other option is to irrigate the flat where the old sale yards were. Again, that's pending a licence as well, but the third one that we're very enthusiastic about is the erection of a second 150,000 litre tank at the truck wash. That will have a filtration system, and the water can be reused after it's settled in the ponds, be decanted from the top, filtered, and reused in washing.
Yeah, I did a slight calculation on last month's figures of the truck wash at the old price. It would work out about 88,000 a year return.
So there's certainly income there.
All right, very good. The last one, I'd like to just thank the council for supporting Rotary and sending Ben on that to Ryla. I hope they got a lot out of it, and it should be good. Yeah, how'd they go, Max?
Oh, both of them were very positive about coming back and talking about it.
Ben's actually in the room, he can tell you.
Oh, give a report if you want. No, I don't have to give a report. I'm going to get him to speak at Rotary actually, but that's all right. Yes. Thanks, Ben. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Dixon.
Yes, Alex, what's happening with Bonville Street?
$580,000 in next year's budget.
Only next year's again.
Flood damage is what stopped it happening this year.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are they going to have the trees in the middle of the street like the others or not? Might be wide enough.
So we're going to obviously seal it where there's no beautification in a roads budget. They're pretty strict about that, but whether there's anything in any of the...
We could certainly put
Because there's other
street trees
trees.
if they wanted them in there, as long as there was safe, safe distance.
Well, there's trees in
There
there.
should be, shouldn't
There's trees in there that are falling down.
there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wide
Yeah,
road reserve.
yeah. Okay, thank you. I look forward to next year too.
I appreciate your patience, councillor Dixon.
And your subtlety.
Subtle as an axe.
Yeah.
Alice, sorry.
Yeah.
Has the, that work been done at the cemetery we spoke about before with the water and the roads up there?
I will have to chase up with Peter Kennedy. There was 2 issues up there that needed addressing, and top of my head, I don't know, but I'll take that on notice and get back to you.
And the other thing is the house in Fraser Street that's been having terrible trouble with the neighbours long term is now getting rats coming across into the house from there.
Well, that's probably a legitimate grounds for complaint against the government.
Sorry?
From Finch Street.
No, Fraser.
Street. It's brought up before. It's
Ross,
no Gross.
Ross.
Ross Gross, with the Lanigan. Is it no?
No,
Hilliers next door.
Yeah.
We went and had a look at it that day.
And the rats are now coming over. He actually showed the boys photos of him killing the rats that are coming over from the mess.
I think too the problem is there is rats everywhere. on the
There's
camp
rats
at the moment.
everywhere. Yeah.
But what's the claim? The claim that there's a mess in the yard and they're breeding there. Okay.
Do you know what number it is?
No, the ranger's already been there over dogs. We brought it up 12 months ago or
Yeah.
more, and the yard is a mess from dogs and yeah.
I'll find out what number.
Yeah,
It's been ongoing apparently for
about
33 months.
yeah, that's right.
He did tell them.
Anyway, just leave that with the
and
start.
that could be with the other ones too, that we're always writing to and telling them that there's now vermin and we need to be.
Yeah, vermin's a legitimate reason to
Health
do.
issue, yeah,
Right,
that's a legitimate.
Is there anything else, Councillor Galvin?
No.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
No, the only thing, Max, where are we up to with the new park we're putting in, the garden seed and green? Are we got any closer?
Yeah.
Well,
People ask.
yeah, I know, we are, but I think we're still waiting on the survey from local government engineers.
We have the survey now and options.
Yeah, we were presented with, I think, 7 options for layouts. Blair himself met and picked a preferred one for the engineers to come back with a more developed plan, which we'll present to a council meeting for discussion.
And unfortunately, exiting off Hope Street isn't an option
Isn't
because
it?
of the nature of the.
But even with the demolition of the building.
The advice that we received was that you'd need to nearly go to the post office for a vehicle not to have to be on the footpath.
You're talking about a vehicle towing a caravan, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And is that report include drainage?
Yes, it does. So the approach that we've taken, rather than going directly to a landscape architect, is to first of all go to a consulting engineering firm to provide a layout that addresses all of those issues, and then the landscape architect will do the more fluffy stuff.
Right, good. Well, that's good. How close are we to seeing all this?
The concept for the layout, minus the landscape architecture stuff, will be ready by next meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Because we have promised the community we're going to put it on display.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Yes.
they'll be involved in the consultation.
Yeah, for sure.
We just had to work out what we were working with to start with getting the foundational stuff, and then we'll go out to the community.
And
We've looked at it as trying to put some sort of a fairway through the back of the commercial.
The courthouse, where
Yeah.
the commercial boundary is,
Yeah.
running parallel to the commercial boundary onto.
that's near
Stephen
the
Street.
exchange, is it? That's the Commonwealth ground.
Yes,
Mm.
we'll have to negotiate with Telstra that access
Yeah.
through there. Just for the purpose of the recording, we're not considering encroaching on the post office land at all or doing anything with that building,
No, of course. Yeah.
just in case.
No, that's pretty well.
Thank you. Councillor Egan?
I just have a question for Alex. Alex, you said you can tell whether it's cars or trucks.
Put your microphone around, Catherine, we can't hear.
You said you can tell whether it's cars and trucks going on the bypass. Can you tell me what number cars are bypassing the town, and is it impacting the business houses at all?
The short answer is yes, I can. The longer answer is that the numbers we've got at the moment, because the counters were put out in the days following the opening of the bypass, probably reflect sticky beakers, not people.
I've driven it, looking.
Not people bypassing it. I mean, I myself drive it 3 times a day, just checking it out. So that's going to inflate the numbers, and I'm certainly not bypassing the town. The short answer is about 140 light vehicles were what we measured in a day. I think that to get a better measure of it, a measure in 3 months' time will be something accurate.
If you wanted to do it properly, we would have conducted surveys of vehicles moving through Warrielda and going to Inverell anyway, and you would have been able to see that probably just rather than do that, now they're using the bypass.
Yeah, I agree entirely.
And they know.
If you live at North Star and you want to go to Inverell, well, that's a bad example, but if you live north and you're going to Inverell to the dentist or something, you have no intention of stopping in Warrielda anyway.
Precisely. I've had no feedback. I shop regularly for lunch in the CBD of Warrielda, and people know who I am, and nobody's said that it's a lot quieter.
Well, that's good.
I don't think there'll be any problems.
I don't know.
People are going to, and like I said, on that first week of the show or whatever, everyone said, oh yeah, I went around there, yeah, but they're not going to be doing it all the
That's
time.
right, yeah.
And they're not, I mean, anyone's going, like there's bypasses around nearly every town now.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to make any difference. We're certainly not worried about it.
It's a lot better with the trucks gone.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Much more pleasant to walk up the main street.
Yeah.
Only thing, just going back to that truck business going down the main street, there will be, you can bet your life, there's going to be an odd truck.
Well, Jeff, I've been thinking about that since I made that statement. Like the truck that delivers to the butcher shop.
Yeah.
I saw him on Sunday night. Yeah, well, that's an articulated vehicle, and he's right there. He has to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll probably get an odd one coming through town from, say, Moree with fertiliser or something that won't know the bottle.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's not going to be much. Most of the fertiliser comes from the north.
Yeah.
The cattle, you're not going to have cattle trucks down there anyway. I don't think there'll be a problem.
I don't either.
But you can bet your life there'll be an odd one that'll go through there by mistakes.
Yeah. Well, there was, wasn't there? When you pull the sign, the 6-tonne load limit down, what you get? 6 trucks or something. Yeah. So they actually, they read the signs better than I do. I was going out of town with you, Alex, and I said I didn't know it was an 80 kilometre zone here.
That's right.
He'd tell me it was only put up that morning. But
I think, with all of these things, there's we're creatures of habit, and people have been driving specific routes for quite a while, and there's a new road there, and we can't expect people to use it as we've intended it to be used from day dot.
no.
There's going to be a wearing in period.
And that's why we put speed humps in, because people are creatures of habit.
Precisely.
I was watching the trucks come down off the 3 Mile there the other day, past Tippy Lucas, and I know 2 of them, they had no intention of pulling up and going on the bypass. They just went straight through the town,
Yeah,
So they were stock trucks.
yeah, I haven't seen that many of late. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of them
still do it.
Yeah,
no,
they
sign was put up there, the flashing sign. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
That was only on, a couple of days ago. Wednesday morning it was, Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
They weren't yellow trucks by any chance?
No, green ones. Martin's the yellow.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard reports of Martin's trucks avoiding that.
Yeah. Just a couple of them there. Well, that was out of about 12 trucks. There's only 2 that went straight through.
Yeah. That's like Jeff said, you're going to get that for a little bit.
Yeah. But they just had no intention of slowing down.
You have anything else
to go around it.
No, that's it. Okay, I don't have anything. Just to record how well I thought the opening went with the governor. Very, very easy person to entertain, and it was good to have the men out for a barbecue lunch, and I got a little bit of feedback. I think it was well received, and That's all I have.
Can I just say, John, look on behalf of the council and everybody there, thank you for putting us up for the day.
That's a pleasure.
It was a fantastic lunch and I think everybody appreciated it. It was great to see the staff. It was a great community event for the Shire and thank you for the work you put into it.
I didn't do much, but it was a pleasure to have them there. I've been surprised at some of the comments as though it was out of the ordinary. I didn't think it was, but it's good. Yeah.
Can I raise something?
Yeah.
I've had a request from the Bingara Showground Committee about what rights new members of the 355 committee may have.
There's some protocols.
And I would think that that once people are accepted as membership, they have the same rights as everyone else that's a member. Do you agree with that? Or?
Yes, we agree with that. I think principally we agree with it all, but we just wondered whether there was anything that needed to be, whether they need to sign it. We have to know that they have their own insurance and not come on
and they've
board
been
thinking,
incorporated,
So I think it's just whether, as they come on, they have to show something to prove that they're insured committee.
No, that's fine. I thought there may have been a hidden issue I wasn't aware of.
No, just laying it out for anyone that wants to come on that they must hold their own public liabilities and all that sort of thing. And we were just going to, as they asked for it, we'd like to just have something that we can list for them where they're responsible for particular electricity, camping, all that sort of thing. But before they get there, they've got to have their own insurances. And
What group is it that wants to more recently join?
will it be the camp draft committee?
No, they're already a member. She mentioned there was a new one in the letter.
Well, I think
It wouldn't be the dog.
I'm thinking that it's probably going to be John Peters with his dog group because he's gone outside the show committee and so he's going to want to hold the dog trials.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's in,
Like similar to what they have at Upper Horton.
that type of thing, and a dog auction and that sort of thing. But we're sort of not sure that they understand that if they're going to become one of those, so all it needs is a letter that covers the committee saying that each 355 has to hold their own insurances.
So there are no fees involved, are there, at the moment?
No,
Just that was one of the things that was
getting to know whether they all have their own covers and that they are aware that they provide cleaning, consumables and all. As they put an event on the grounds, they are responsible. So it's just a sort of a cover for us.
Okay.
That would be part of the trust requirement, wouldn't it, of the
Well,
showground?
the management committee just want to have a protocol thing that they follow, and you get the garbages at the dump, you take them back empty and clean and
Should be.
all that sort
At
of thing.
Borealis, we have a set of rules written out
Yeah, that's what
that we hand over,
and we want to hand that to these new
plus
committees.
rental fees.
Yeah, it's gone from pretty informal, it's getting actually quite...
Yeah, because
Well, as you've got to have it all
that's right.
stated now. We haven't recognised the fact that we've got the minutes of all the community meetings here, but I don't think we need to take any action just to recognise.
Where action is required, it's been recorded.
No, but on the fact that they're in our meeting notice somehow.
No, you adopted that.
Where did we?
Yep.
Okay,
don't you
that's
remember?
very good.
Committee of the whole.
Now we need to go into confidential session, and I'd ask somebody to move that way. Thank you, Councillor Egan, and a second, please. Councillor Mulligan, all those in favour say aye. Aye. So carried.